In over a century of aviation history, it wasn't just ordinary passenger jets that flew in the sky. Behind the headline flights and commercial trips, there were planes made for unique missions. Some were for war, some for scientific experiments, and some were made just to prove that humans can do the impossible. From planes as small as cars to gigantic machines capable of lifting a space shuttle, even their designs seemed to come from science fiction. All of them truly flew, and they left a unique mark in the history of aviation. Some have been successful and continue to be used to this day, and there are also those who failed after just a few test flights. So in this video, we will look at the most unique airplanes that have existed and still exist in the world. You'll also learn here how and why they were made. But before we start, please like and subscribe. It's a big deal for us content creators. Thank you. Let's begin. Number 20, XF-85 Goblin. If you think about it, it's rare to see a plane that literally fits under the wing of another plane. But that's exactly the concept of the XF-85 Goblin, the smallest jet-powered fighter ever made. It was intended to serve as a Parasite fighter for the gigantic B-36 bomber, meaning it just hangs inside the bomber. If there's an attack, it will be deployed to defend the larger aircraft. In theory, it sounds cool, but in practice, that's where the problem arose. It can separate from the mothership properly, but when it's time to reattach it back, oh boy, it's almost impossible to do. Because the Goblin doesn't have its own landing gear, so it really needs to be pulled back into the air using a hook like a trapeze. Out of 7 test flights, only 3 times was the reattachment successful. The problem is it's always being pushed away by the strong wind from the B-36 itself, so it can't position itself properly. In the end, the project was shut down and the little Goblin never flew with its mother again. That's a pity. It's like the protagonist in a movie who never made it to the finale. Number 19, Stipa Caproni. If there's a plane that looks like it was directly pulled out of a cartoon, this is it. The Stipa Caproni, commonly called the Flyer. Luigi Stipa invented this barrel in Italy in the early 1930s. It's tube-shaped with a propeller at the front and both ends open. Yes, it's beautiful, but it depends if you want to fly in barrels. During Mussolini's time, the government was proud of Italian-made technology, and one of the things they focused on was new airplane designs, so they tried this project. Yes, it flew, but the test pilots said it had few barrels. This is Lixie like a flying drum, heavy to handle and no faster than existing airplanes then. In short, despite its unusual appearance, there was no sufficient reason to make it a production model. But I admit, if this flew in modern times, it might become an instant meme hit. Number 18, Antonov An-225 Mriya. This is the king of all airplanes, the largest in the world before it was completely destroyed. The Antonov An-225 Mriya is a massive cargo plane that can carry up to 250 tons in one trip. It has a length of over 275 feet and weighs 175 tons even when empty. Its 6 turbofan engines, 20 steerable wheels on the main landing gear, and 4 more on the nose allow it to lift even a space shuttle. And indeed, it was made in 1989 in Panamanian, where it arrived with a Soviet space shuttle mounted on its back. If there's a way to show off your technology, this must be it. Unfortunately, only one Mriya was completed, and by the end of its operation, it was completely destroyed and could not be restored. A giant legend in the world of aviation and perhaps one of the saddest losses in the history of airplanes. 17. The Super Guppy airplane. From an airplane with a space shuttle, let's go to an airplane that seems like it could also carry another airplane. This is the Super Guppy, a special aircraft made to transport extremely large cargo, like parts of a spacecraft or even an entire airplane. In the 1960s, the competition between the United States and the Soviet Union in the space race was intense. Because of this, America needed a means to transport from one end of the country to the other. The original version was called the pregnant guppy. Due to its round and full shape, it looked like a pregnant guppy fish. Eventually, they designed something better and bigger, the super guppy. It can carry extremely large pieces inside the wide belly of the plane. But remember, it doesn't just fly on its own. It requires a special crew to operate it. And the takeoff and landing are more complicated than with an ordinary airplane. Number 16, Boeing X-48. At first glance, the Boeing X-48 looks like it's from a science fiction movie. It's an unmanned aerial vehicle or unmanned aerial vehicle designed to study the concept of a blended wing body, a design where the wings and body of the airplane are almost attached and together. The official explanation says it can serve as a passenger aircraft. But it's not surprising that its use for the military is now also being studied. Made from lightweight composite materials, the X-48 is extremely fuel efficient and almost noiseless. Characteristics that you don't need in a spy plane. But of course, they won't admit what it really is. Because it can fly without a pilot inside, it's clear that this is advanced technology that isn't readily shown to the public. Number 15, Cessna Skyhawk. SP small. Simple but very reliable. That's the Cessna Skyhawk SP. This is one of the most popular light aircraft in the world, used for personal travel, small businesses, and most importantly, training new pilots. Since 1955, it continues to be used in various versions. Even the United States Armed Forces have a military variant of it for their training programs. So if you're watching a movie with a drug lord escaping using a small plane in the province, they're probably using a Skyhawk. It has 4 seats, can fly with 1 or 2 pilots, and the single turboprop engine design is simple. Cessna has delivered over 45,000 units, and to this day, it remains one of the most popular and successful airplanes in its class. Number 14, Boeing 747, Dreamlifter. Even the name Dreamlifter sounds magical. But in reality, it's a gigantic cargo plane made for a practical reason, to solve Boeing's logistics problem. When the Boeing 787 Dreamliner was being built, it was simultaneously assembled in different countries, from Italy to Japan. Because of this, transferring the huge parts became a headache. So they took some old Boeing 747-400ES and modified them to have an extremely large capacity, enough to carry large pieces of the new airplane. In 2020, the Dreamlifter also became a hero, as it was used to deliver a large amount of personal protective equipment to various countries at the peak of the global health crisis. Number 13, Airbus A300-600 ST Beluga. If there's a rival to super defeat, this might be it. The Airbus A300-600 ST Beluga was made by Airbus to help them transfer large pieces of aircraft to their various facilities. 4 out of 5 Airbus Belugas are active in carrying wings and fuselage sections of various airplane models. The 5th one is reserved as a backup and can also be used for other cargo outside the company. With its large interior, it can carry pieces almost as large as the airplane itself, like a Russian nesting doll, but in an aviation version. Number 12, National Aeronautics and Space Administration Helios prototype. If you think all airplanes look the same, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration Helios prototype will prove you wrong. It's an unmanned, remotely piloted aircraft made under National Aeronautics and Space Administration's Environmental Research, Aircraft and Sensor Technology Project. The goal: try if it can fly continuously for over 24 hours and reaching a height of almost 100,000 feet. It was made to measure the limits of flight endurance and high-altitude performance. an experiment that is almost unbelievable at first glance. The question is, why does National Aeronautics and Space Administration need an airplane that can fly that high and that long? That's the mystery they didn't detail. That's when speculation starts. Number 11, Northrop YB-49 Flying Wing. It was called the Flying Wing and sometimes the Bat Bomber because of its unusual appearance. In the 1940s, the Northrop YB-49 was made as a bomber aircraft following the older experimental bomber, 35. Its aerodynamics looked good on paper, but according to test pilots, it was very difficult to control. You're always focused on the controls to maintain speed, altitude, and direction. It's not ideal, especially if carrying nuclear weapons. In the 1950s, it was completely shut down with no functional units left except for photos and old videos. It was a prototype that inspired the more modern B-2 stealth bomber, but did not get past the experimental stage. In the 1990s, all military aircraft makers were captivated by stealth technology. One of Boeing's projects was the so-called Bird of Prey, an airplane that almost seemed like it came from a sci-fi movie or Batman. It was made in a highly secretive place, Area 51, and the exact technology used was not disclosed. What is clear is that its design is extremely advanced and it can hide from radar detection. There have been many speculations about the true use of the airplane, but because it is under intense military secrecy, the public only knows a little about its true story. Number 9, C-5M Super Galaxy. This is the upgraded version of the C-5 Galaxy made by Lockheed Martin for the United States Air Force. The C-5M Super Galaxy was made to extend the life of the fleet until the year 2040, increase reliability, and reduce maintenance and operating costs. It has a more powerful engine, new wing attachment fittings, thrust reversers, and other modern features. It can carry extremely large cargo over long distances and is used for various missions, from military transport to humanitarian aid. Currently, there are 52 of these aircraft actively used by the Air Mobility Command and Air Force Reserve Command. Number 8, this is the Soviet Union's version of the famous Concorde of Britain and France. It is better known as Concordesky due to its striking resemblance to the original design. The Tupolev Tu-144 debuted at the 1971 Paris Air Show, impressing many. It even surpassed the Concorde in some milestones, such as the first flight, which happened 2 months earlier, and the first supersonic flight, which was also 4 months ahead. But in 1973, at another Paris Air Show, it attempted a more extravagant aerial display. Unfortunately, it exploded in midair and crashed into a French village. 8 people on the ground and 6 on the plane were killed. Although it began service in 1977, it remained noisy, cramped, and unpopular with passengers. After another crash in 1978, it was permanently removed from the passenger service, and the program was shut down in 1984. 7. Douglas Experimental Bomber. 19. During the time of the United States Army Air Corps, before the end of World War II, this was the largest bomber they made. The Douglas Experimental Bomber, 19, is 132 feet and 2 inches long, has a wingspan of 210 feet, and stands 42 feet and 9 inches tall. It was designed as a long-range bomber, but due to the rapid advancement of technology, its design quickly became outdated. Even before testing finished, it was used as a test bed and later as a cargo carrier until it was scrapped in 1949, though it never became a standard aircraft. It carried a combination of Browning machine guns, autocannons, and a bomb bay capable of holding over 18,000 pounds of bombs. 6. Beluga Extra Large. The Airbus Beluga is big, but the Beluga Extra Large is even larger. It's based on the Airbus A330 and has Rolls-Royce Trent 772B engines. It has a lower cockpit, a wider cargo bay, and a modified tail to carry larger cargo. It can transport 2 wings of an A350 jetliner in one trip, compared to just one on a regular Beluga. Besides its size, it featured a smiling face design, making it appear friendlier despite being a massive cargo hauler. 5. The Beluga. The Spruce Goose plane is one of the most ambitious airplanes ever made, and also has one of the shortest careers. Its official name is Hughes H-4 Hercules, but it's more commonly known as Spruce Goose. It was designed by billionaire inventor Howard Hughes along with Henry Kaiser as the largest flying boat during the World War II. Their target was to finish it within 24 months for use in the war, but progress was slow. By the time it was completed, the war was over and there was no longer a military demand. On November 2nd, 1947, in front of a large crowd and media, it underwent a taxi test on water. On the second run, it suddenly flew for a few seconds, enough to prove that it could fly. But that was its final flight. The Spruce Goose never flew again and is now a historical exhibit. Number 4, Airbus A380. The Airbus A380 is the largest passenger jet in the world. It's a double-decker that can carry over 500 passengers depending on the seating layout. Since its production in the mid-2000s, it has become a favorite of several airlines, such as Emirates and Singapore Airlines, due to its spacious cabin filled with luxury amenities, in-flight bars, shower spas, and private suites. Even Etihad Airways has limits. The Residence offers a living room, bedroom, and private butler. But despite its beauty, it did not reach the long-term success of the Boeing 747. Only 251 units were made before production was halted. Number 3, Tupolev Tu-160. It appears like a graceful white swan, but inside it's a deadly machine. This is the Tupolev Tu-160, Russia's supersonic bomber that can carry nuclear weapons. And conventional weapons, the aircraft can operate at any time, day or night, and almost anywhere in the world. Despite its size, it has the ability to fly fast and maneuver. This is why it's called the White Swan, but don't be fooled by the name. A more fitting moniker might be the fiercest air assailant due to its wide range and powerful weaponry. Number 2, B-52 Stratofortress. To an iconic bomber aircraft in military history, the B-52 Stratofortress of the United States Air Force. It's a long-range heavy bomber capable of carrying nuclear or precision-guided conventional weapons while flying at subsonic speeds up to 50,000 feet. It was famous in Operation Desert Storm, where it was responsible for dropping 40% of all the coalition forces' weapons. Besides bombing missions, it is used. It's also used in times of disharmony, making it a favorite of the United States Navy for diverse missions. That's why this kit of United is loved. It's like the payment for the payment. This is his stubbornness, and now it's decreasing. His first time with a wide view. Thanks for watching. Number 1, Lockheed C-130 Hercules. Since 1954, the Lockheed C-130 Hercules has not been out of service, and it is likely one of the most reliable military transport aircraft in the world. It has 4 turboprop engines and a unique design that gives it the ability to take off and land on short and unprepared runways. This means it can deliver supplies to troops even in combat zones or disaster areas. It is used by many countries and various branches of the military because of its versatility. In over 6 decades of service, the production and modernization of Hercules continues. A testament that excellent design lasts no matter how long the time. Bonus number 1, Vought F-7 Eucatlas. When the Vought F-7 Eucatlas was launched in 1948, it immediately became popular as one of the most radical designs in aviation, used by the United States Navy. It was not like the typical jet fighter of that time. It had no traditional horizontal tail and had a unique swept wing configuration that looked like a boomerang. It was designed to achieve high maneuverability and a faster climb rate, something important for carrier-based combat. One of the reasons it was made was to test technologies from the captured German aeronautical research documents. After World War II, although it seemed promising, problems soon appeared. It had weak engine thrust, complex hydraulics, and fragile landing gear. In its 11 years of service, more than half of the fleet was lost in accidents. Reason enough to call it the ensign killer. In 1959, it was replaced by more reliable jet fighters like the F-8 Crusader. Bonus number 2, Convair F-2YC Dart. Imagine a jet fighter that doesn't need a runway or aircraft carrier. That was the ambition behind the Convair F-2YC Dart. In the early 1950s, the United States Navy feared that existing runways and carriers could easily be targeted by enemies. So they thought of creating a jet that could take off and land on water. It was equipped with retractable hydroskis. Once it reaches high speed, the plane will lift off from the water to fly. In theory, it's a smart and flexible solution. In practice, the turbulence is so intense that control is nearly impossible during heavy waves. A high-profile crash in front of the media in 1954 killed the test pilot. After that, the program was halted. Now it remains one of the few jet fighters that actually took off from the sea using skis. Bonus number 3, Blum and Voss. Blum and Voss, 141. If there's a plane that's sure to be talked about because of its looks alone, this is it. The Blum and Voss 141, made by Germany in World War II for reconnaissance, features an asymmetrical design. The cockpit for the pilot and observer is on the left side, while the engine and fuselage are on the right. Its appearance is not just simply unique. The design aimed to give the observer a wide field of view and reduce fuselage aerodynamic drag. During test flights, several pilots praised its stability and ease of control despite its unique balance. But due to Germany's limited production capacity in the middle of the war, they chose to focus on more well-known aircraft, such as the Messerschmitt fighters and reconnaissance variants of the Focke-Wulf. Because of this, only a few were made, and now it remains one of the most remarkable designs in aviation history.